My first tip is keep it simple. You don't need to overcomplicate it. The amount of businesses that I go into that have 10, 12, 15 sales stages, even when they're looking at building out their pipeline. So my suggestion would be think about all of the steps that your customer journey goes through and think about all the different ways that they can travel through your pipeline. Then think about what do they all have in common. Now, what tends to happen is they all always tend to be new leads or new opportunities. There'll be a opportunity to qualify them in some way. We'll usually do some form of proposal or presentation or meeting with that person. We will likely send a contract of some sort and we will have a contract signed. Now, those are really nice five basic stages that you can start with. And of course, you can add some complexities in the stages themselves. But my first tip would be keep it simple. Less is more. Over to you, Helena.
Yeah, totally agree on that. My sort of biggest tips for structuring your pipeline is the biggest thing is dropping the ego, right? And I think a lot of us don't even take account of realistic close dates, i.e., how long is legal or that sort of process actually going to take? Paper process, for instance, that can take up to a month with some companies. And I think the worst part is going into your quarter and having all your pipeline just set to close at the end of the quarter, and then you're really struggling to get it to close and get it over the line. So I think really looking at your quarter, looking at your year, looking at all of your pipeline, and realistically working back from that go live date, and then being like, right, putting those realistic close dates. So then when you filter it, you can actually see realistically what you've got in pipe, because that will then lead on to sort of best practices of always making sure that you have some kind of 3x coverage. You know, if your target's 100K, you'd want to have 300K in pipe. Those would be sort of my best practices when you're structuring it, really just being honest with yourself about the close date.
Yeah, and I might add on top of that, just make sure you put a close date, you know, and be okay to guess it. Because again, at the beginning, you're not necessarily going to be able to estimate it perfectly. But as Helena says, the more data you have, the more you can look back at it. Just get used to putting a close date in from the moment you open a deal.